The path to inner peace. Embracing detachment. Have you ever wondered how to find true inner peace amidst the chaos of daily life? Buddhism offers timeless wisdom that teaches us acceptance and detachment, reminding us that what is meant for us will arrive in its own time. Through stories and parables, we learn to let go of what no longer serves us and embrace life's unfolding with serenity. Detachment is not about indifference, it is about freedom, a profound liberation that allows us to live fully in the present. Join us on this journey of self-discovery and transformation, where we'll explore how to apply these teachings in everyday life to cultivate a deeper, more conscious existence. The art of letting go, freeing the soul. A long time ago, a monk cherished a porcelain cup given to him by his master. He admired it, kept it close, and took great care of it. One day, the cup slipped from his hands and shattered into countless pieces. The monk felt a deep sadness, but his master gently reminded him that cup was already broken from the beginning. This simple lesson captures the essence of detachment. It is not about indifference or resignation, but about recognizing the impermanence of all things. How often do we cling to people, possessions, or situations out of fear of losing them? We hold onto relationships that no longer nurture us, expectations that bring only frustration, and memories that keep us stuck in the past. We believe that letting go means losing something, but in reality, it is what sets us free. Buddhism teaches that suffering comes from attachment. We seek security in a world that is constantly changing, but true peace does not come from grasping at external things. It comes from our ability to accept impermanence. When we embrace this truth, we no longer see loss as a tragedy, but as a natural part of life's flow, flowing with life instead of resisting it. Imagine a river. It does not cling to the water that passes through it. It simply flows. In the same way, we can learn to move with life rather than resist its changes. How many times has life taken something away from us, only to bring us something even better? Yet, in the moment, blinded by fear and attachment, we fail to recognize the gifts hidden within change. Practicing detachment does not mean abandoning the things or people we love. It means loving without possessiveness, without dependence. It means fully appreciating what we have, while understanding that everything is subject to change. When the moment of change arrives, we will not be overcome with grief. We will be at peace. By embracing this perspective, we free ourselves from unnecessary suffering and learn to live with a sense of lightness and acceptance. True freedom is not found in holding on, it is found in letting go. Detachment and acceptance, the path to inner peace. Detachment is the key that unlocks the door to acceptance. Once we learn to let go, the next step is to embrace what life brings us without resistance or struggle. True peace comes not from controlling events, but from aligning ourselves with them. Radical acceptance, embracing reality. As it is one day, a disciple approached his master and said, "Master, I suffer because life is not how I want it to be." The master smiled and replied, "You suffer because you resist what is. Life is not here to fulfill your desires, it is here to teach you." Acceptance does not mean giving up or resigning ourselves to whatever happens. It means seeing reality clearly, without illusions or denial. Why do we struggle with acceptance? Because our minds create stories about how things should be. We believe that if we try hard enough, everything will align with our expectations. But life doesn't work that way. Imagine standing at the shore as a massive wave approaches. You can resist it, try to stop it, or curse it, but the wave will not change course. Instead, you can dive into it, allowing it to carry you. The wave exists regardless of your feelings about it. Life is the same. Resisting reality only creates suffering. Embracing it leads to peace. However, acceptance does not mean tolerating harmful situations or abandoning our dreams. It simply means acknowledging what is before deciding how to respond. Consider the archer. He can carefully calculate his shot, but factors beyond his control, wind, humidity, the movement of the target, will always play a role. He can waste energy lamenting these obstacles, or he can adjust, adapt, and try again. In life, many things are beyond our control. Acceptance allows us to focus on what is within our power. We often resist reality because we fear that accepting it means defeat. But in truth, acceptance is empowering. It releases us from unnecessary struggle, allowing us to move forward with clarity. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" we can ask, "What can I learn from this?" This simple shift in perspective transforms suffering into growth. Embracing ourselves. If you find value in what we're discussing here, a simple, free way to support us is to hit that subscribe button and don't skip any part of the video. Each piece of information could be the key to unlocking deeper insights into human nature and your personal peace of mind. When we let go of resistance and trust in life's timing, we discover that what is truly meant for us will arrive, not a moment too soon, nor a moment too late. The art of letting go and of finding peace. Through acceptance, life unfolds at its own pace, much like a farmer tending his crops. He waters the soil, provides sunlight, and nurtures the plants, but he does not pull them from the ground to make them grow faster. He understands that everything has its own rhythm. In the same way, Buddhism teaches us to approach life with patience and trust, rather than anxiety and control. Instead of resisting or fighting what happens, we can take on the perspective of an observer. Every situation, no matter how challenging, holds a lesson, though we may not always recognize it right away. Looking back, we often realize that even the most difficult moments served a purpose. Accepting uncertainty is not easy, but it is liberating. It frees us from fear and anxiety, allowing us to experience the present moment without obsessing over the future. In the end, what is meant for us will come, and what is not will leave. And as we walk this path of trust, there is one practice that can help us find clarity amidst the chaos: meditation. Meditation, the path to inner peace. In a quiet monastery, a disciple approached his master and said, "My mind is restless. The more I try to find peace, the more turbulent it becomes." The master handed him a glass of water filled with dirt and asked him to shake it. Then he said, "Now let it sit." Slowly, the dirt settled and the water became clear. "This is the mind," the master explained. "If you allow it to calm, clarity will come on its own." Meditation is not about silencing the mind or escaping reality. It is about observing thoughts without attachment. In a world filled with constant distractions, notifications, social media, worries, our minds rarely get a moment of stillness. Meditation provides that space, allowing us to reconnect with what truly matters. Scientific research has shown that meditation reduces stress, improves focus, strengthens the immune system, and enhances emotional resilience. But beyond these benefits, it teaches us a fundamental truth: everything is impermanent. When we close our eyes and observe our breath, we see that every thought, every emotion, every sensation arises and fades. Nothing is permanent, not pain, not sadness, not anxiety. This understanding helps us move through life with greater ease. Many people say they cannot meditate because their minds won't stop thinking, but meditation is not about stopping thoughts. It's about learning to see them as passing clouds in the sky. The sky remains unchanged, no matter how many clouds drift across it. There are many forms of meditation, but one of the simplest is breath awareness. Find a quiet space, close your eyes, and focus on the air flowing in and out of your nostrils. If your mind wanders, gently bring your attention back to your breath. No force, no judgment. Another powerful practice is gratitude meditation. Each day, take a moment to reflect on what you are grateful for. This small shift in perspective helps cultivate appreciation and reduces the tendency to focus on what is missing. Then there is the practice of letting go. If something is weighing on you, imagine holding it in your hands. With each exhale, visualize releasing it little by little. This simple yet profound exercise can help free you from emotional burdens. Through consistent meditation, we begin to notice changes, we react less, worry less, and experience greater peace. We learn to live with presence, which is essential for the next step on our journey, surrendering control and flowing with life. Flowing with life, letting go of control. One day, a disciple stood beside a river with his master. As they watched the water move effortlessly around rocks and bends, the master said, "See how the river flows without resistance? It does not fight obstacles, it adapts and keeps moving forward." We often try to control every aspect of life, our relationships, our future, how others perceive us. We believe that if we plan enough, we can avoid pain and guarantee happiness. But life is like a river, always shifting, always in motion. Clinging to what we cannot control only leads to suffering. Buddhism teaches that true peace comes from releasing this need for control. This does not mean giving up. It means accepting that not everything is in our hands. We can love someone, but we cannot force them to stay. We can care for our health, but we cannot avoid illness forever. A Buddhist story tells of a man hanging from a branch at the edge of a cliff. Exhausted but terrified of falling, he held on with all his strength. What he didn't realize was that solid ground lay just beneath him. Had he let go, he would have landed safely, but his fear kept him trapped. Many of us live this way. We cling to jobs that drain us, relationships that no longer serve. The monk smiled gently and replied, "If a bird were to break its own wing because it made a mistake in flight, how would it ever fly again?" Guilt is the weight that holds us down, but compassion is the wind that helps us move forward. In Buddhism, compassion is one of the most essential virtues. However, it is not just about showing kindness to others. It begins with learning to be kind to ourselves. Too often, we are our own harshest critics. We dwell on past mistakes, demand perfection, and speak to ourselves in ways we would never speak to a loved one. But what does this self-judgment accomplish? Does it truly help us grow? The truth is, it doesn't. Self-compassion is not about making excuses or avoiding accountability. Rather, it provides the foundation for real growth, a growth that is nurtured, not forced. A tree does not grow stronger by being struck. It flourishes when watered with patience and care. One of the most powerful Buddhist practices for cultivating compassion is metta bhavana, or loving kindness meditation. This practice involves silently repeating compassionate phrases, starting with ourselves and then extending them to others. It can be as simple as saying, "May I be well, may I be happy, may I live in peace." At first, it might feel uncomfortable. Many people struggle to wish themselves happiness because they believe they don't deserve it. But true compassion begins within. When we learn to embrace ourselves with kindness, we naturally extend that same warmth to the world around us. Compassion, the path to inner peace. Only when we learn to treat ourselves with kindness can we truly extend that kindness to others. Compassion is not just about being gentle with those around us, it begins within. We are all on a journey of learning, stumbling through life, making mistakes, reacting impulsively, and sometimes regretting our choices. But if we continue to punish ourselves for the past, we remain trapped, unable to grow. That being said, compassion does not mean tolerating what harms us. If someone mistreats us, we are not obligated to accept their behavior. We can be compassionate without allowing ourselves to be hurt. The key difference is that instead of responding with anger, or resentment, we choose understanding, not because the other person deserves it, but because we deserve peace. There's a Buddhist story about a man carrying a heavy sack of stones on his back. He was exhausted, yet he refused to let go of the burden. A monk saw him and asked, "Why do you carry such a heavy load?" The man replied, "These stones are my grudges and resentments." The monk simply said, "Let them go. You don't need to carry them to keep moving forward." This is how many of us live, clinging to anger and past wounds, believing that holding onto resentment somehow punishes those who wronged us. In reality, it only weighs us down. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting, it means freeing ourselves from the burden that keeps us from moving forward. A Buddhist master once said, "Holding onto anger is like grasping a burning coal with the intention of throwing it at someone. You are the one who gets burned first." But how do we cultivate compassion when we've been hurt? Recognizing that people act based on their own level of awareness. Someone who causes harm is likely struggling in their own way. This doesn't excuse their actions, but it allows us not to take them personally, allowing ourselves to heal. We don't need to hold on to pain forever. We have the power to close the chapter and move forward, understanding that compassion is not weakness. It takes far more strength to forgive than to hold on to resentment. True courage lies in letting go of what no longer serves us. When we cultivate compassion, our entire perspective shifts. We react less from fear and more from love. We become more patient, more understanding, and lighter in spirit. This transformation doesn't just affect our relationships, it changes the way we experience life itself. Bringing Buddhist teachings into everyday life. One day, a disciple, feeling restless, asked his master, "How long will it take me to reach enlightenment?" The master replied, "If you rush, it will take much longer. If you walk with patience, it will come sooner than you think." This is one of Buddhism's greatest truths. Transformation doesn't happen overnight. It's not about reading a book or having a sudden realization. It's about integrating these teachings into our daily lives, practicing them over and over again. Because understanding that attachment causes suffering is useless if we continue clinging out of fear. Knowing the importance of acceptance means nothing if we still resist what life brings us. The real question is, how do we apply these principles every day? Practice detachment. Detachment doesn't mean giving up everything or avoiding emotional connections. It means learning to appreciate life without clinging. When something good comes, receive it with gratitude, but without fear of losing it. When something leaves, allow yourself to grieve, but don't hold on to it out of attachment. Ask yourself, am I holding on out of love or out of fear? The answer will tell you if it's time to let go. Radical acceptance. Start each day with the question, what can I accept today? It could be an unexpected challenge, a difficult person, or even a part of yourself you struggle with. Acceptance doesn't mean passivity, it means stopping the fight against what already is. Only from a place of clarity can we take wise action. Trust life's process. When things don't go as planned, remember the story of the monk's horse. Avoid labeling situations as good or bad too quickly. Instead, ask yourself, what lesson is this bringing me? Over time, you'll begin to see that everything unfolds in its own way for a reason. Daily meditation. Meditation doesn't have to be long or complicated. Just a few minutes of mindful breathing each day can make a difference. Sit quietly, observe your breath, and let your thoughts come and go without attachment. At first, the mind will resist, but with time, you'll notice that you react less and understand more. Let go of control. Do your best, but without obsessing over the outcome. Be like the archer who shoots his arrow with precision, but doesn't fixate on the target. If things don't go as expected, instead of getting frustrated, ask, how can I flow with this? Some of the most beautiful things in life happen when we stop trying to control everything and simply remain open to what comes. Compassion in every action. You don't need grand gestures to practice compassion. A kind word, a moment of patience, or even a smile can change someone's day. But most importantly, practice compassion toward yourself. Instead of criticizing yourself for every mistake, speak to yourself as you would a dear friend. Life is a journey in constant motion. There is no final destination, only the path itself. Some days you'll forget these teachings. You'll react with attachment, fear, or frustration. And that's okay. Learning isn't a straight line, it's a cycle of forgetting and remembering. What matters is that you return to these principles again and again. Buddhism isn't just a philosophy, it's a way of living. the best way to integrate it is to practice it, to experience it, to make mistakes and keep going. Every day is another chance to let go a little more, to trust a little more, and to live with a little more peace. If this message resonated with you, take a moment to reflect. Which of these teachings speaks to you the most? Have you ever experienced a moment where life showed you that everything unfolds in its own time? Share your thoughts. We'd love to hear your story.